Hello. Welcome everyone to the second Sustainable Microenterprise and Development Program webinar. We have about 37 of you here so far. I think some others are going to be coming in. Let me give you a brief rundown of what we're going to do today, and this will last about an hour as advertised. We are really happy today to have with us Claude Rodríguez-Ferrera. Claude is the founder and director of ACAF. ACAF is really, as far as I know, the first example of a savings group program that is very similar to savings group programs that are being operated in the developing world, a ACAF, to be transplanted to the developed world. And for the past 4 or 5 years, Jean-Claude has been working in Spain, Portugal, Netherlands, and other parts of Europe to bring the methodology that he's developed, the ACAF methodology, to Europe. And it's been very successful in getting people involved in a very similar savings group model as many of you who are involved in promoting savings groups in the developing world might be familiar with. For those of you that are not familiar with the ACAF model, with the savings group model, Jean-Claude is going to give some background on the model and how it kind of fits into the greater microfinance field. I just want to give a little bit of background about how I met Jean-Claude. I have been hearing about his model for about a year and met some of his colleagues in Ghana in our program, and also at the Arusha Savings Group Summit, which the CARSI Institute organized. And then had the opportunity to actually meet Jean-Claude with Jeff Ash. We were both at the Microcredit Summit in Valladolid, Spain, back in November, and I had a chance to sit down with Jean-Claude and hear about the ACAF methodology. And I was so excited about it that I said, you've got to come to the States, and we've got to show people in the United States about this model. And that's exactly what we did last month. Jean-Claude and his colleague Angel Heraz, who's responsible for the Wickham platform, which you'll learn about during this webinar, came to the Boston area and to New Hampshire, and actually to the Bay Area as well. And we're able to speak to hundreds of people about the ACAF model. And we're hoping to launch some version of it sometime in the upcoming year. So we'll keep you posted on that. I'm going to introduce Jean-Claude in just a minute, but I just want to let you know that at the end of the webinar, when we're close to the end of the webinar, after Jean-Claude has made his presentation, we're going to open it up for questions. If you want to ask questions, the way you go about asking questions is just to type it into the questions box. I'm going to be serving as moderator. I'll be watching those questions as we go along, and then when Jean-Claude is done, or if you actually along the way, I might even ask Jean-Claude questions if they seem pertinent while he's making the presentation. But in any event, we'll definitely at the end of his presentation launch into a maybe 15-20 minute question and answer period where you can ask questions about the presentation, about the model, and be able to learn more about ACAF. And at the very end of the presentation, I will make some announcements about upcoming webinars and other training programs and things that CARSI is doing. So without further ado, let me do the official introduction of Jean-Claude Rodríguez-Ferrera Mazons. He's the founder and director of ACAF. He was the Spanish Ashoka Fellow in 2006. And in 2007, he was awarded the World's Creative Young Entrepreneur Award. In 2009, ACAF was selected as the best microfinance practice in Europe. Jean-Claude studied world economy and has a PhD in microfinance. He teaches MBA courses at University of Ramon Llull in Barcelona, and he is the author of World Economy and Development and co-author of La Otra Microfinanza. Sorry for my Spanish. We're very pleased to have Jean-Claude here. I'm going to turn over the screen to him, and he's going to have a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to lead along with. And I'm going to mute my mic so I'm not going to sound like Darth Vader like I did last time during the last webinar. Everyone should be seeing Jean-Claude's screen now, and he's going to maximize that. And Jean-Claude, are you there?
Yes, hello to everyone. I hope you all hear me. I'm very glad that we are doing this webinar. I'm so excited to meeting people from all over the world and that you're interested in this kind of matters. Thank you very much, Bill Maddox, for organizing this and the Kersey Institute. Sorry also for my English. I have my Spanish accent. Hope it's okay. I really prefer that afterwards you start with questions and answers so we can adapt all the information to your questions. But if you want, I will start with an introduction of how we got here to the self-financed communities. If you don't mind, I will explain my personal experience in all that. In 1998, after working with migrant communities in Spain and seeing that there were a big lack of financial opportunities for the people, I discovered in 1997, I discovered the Microcredit Summit in Washington. I went there and I heard about a methodology that maybe you're familiar to, which is the village banking done by John Hatch. So I went there to Guatemala initially to study the methodology for 6 months, but finally I fell in love with Guatemala, so I stayed there for 4 years. I was working with this village banking model with a good NGO working there called Fafides, and we were doing this village banking methodology that you may know, but to make it easy, it's giving credit to groups of 10 to 30 women. We were basically working with indigenous communities. And what we did is we helped to create these groups of 10 to 30 people, and we gave credits to all the groups. And as we had the money, we were setting the conditions for the credit. So the interest rate, the terms, and also the interest rates that people were paying. We used those interest rates to cover our expenses, our costs. And that was, let's say, a nice model. No.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello?
Jean-Claude?
Do you follow? Yes?
I'm sorry. We had a technical problem, and the webinar did not start on time. So now we're going to have to ask you to start all over again.
Okay.
We're going to actually start the entire thing all over again because one of the buttons that I thought was activated isn't. Sorry, folks. Those of you that are out there were wondering about where the webinar is. We're here. We had a technical problem, so you should all be hearing us now. I'm going to kind of start all over again by introducing the webinar, and if you can't hear me now, for some reason you can't hear me, please let me know on the questions button or the chat button, but if otherwise I assume everybody can, we're going to start all over again. So this is Bill Maddox from the Kersey Institute, the Sustainable Microenterprise and Development Program. The screen you're seeing is about self-financed communities. I'm going to, because we're a little bit behind now, I'm going to do a quick introduction of our presenter and give you a little background on him, and then Jean-Claude, then we'll get going again. I apologize for the delay. We are really pleased to have Jean-Claude here. I had the opportunity to meet him at the Microcredit Summit back in November at Valladolid, Spain. After months of hearing about the ACAF model, this is an ASCA model very similar to the savings groups models that's being conducted in different parts of the world. And we were really pleased to find out that someone had taken the model, had modified and adapted it to a European environment and was replicating it in Spain and Portugal and other parts of Europe. So after meeting Jean-Claude in Spain, I said, you've got to come to the States. We have to show people this model, and that's exactly what we did. Last month, Jean-Claude and his colleague Angel Havaz came and were able to go to several universities, both in the Boston area and also in the Bay Area, and talk about the model. And there's a lot of excitement, and with any kind of luck, we'll hopefully start up an ACAF replication here in the United States in the next year. Let me just tell you, if we are going to listen to a presentation by Jean-Claude, follow along with the screen. You'll see the slides up there. If you can't hear or you're having any problems with the transmission, please let me know by giving me a shout on the question box. We also will be taking questions. You can actually ask them as we go along here. I want to give Jean-Claude an opportunity to ask or to present most of the presentation before we actually get into the question and answer, but if it seems pertinent to ask him along the way, he's agreed that we can do that. And then we'll definitely have about 15-20 minutes to do question and answer. I again apologize, we got a late start, so we're going to actually go until 10 minutes after the hour so that everybody will have a chance to participate in this, and hopefully next time we'll get the technology issues ironed out. I do have some really important announcements about upcoming webinars and other events that are happening closer to the end of the webinar, so please stick around. And without further ado, let me do the formal introduction of Jean-Claude, and then I'll turn it over to him. So Jean-Claude Rodríguez-Ferrera Mazons is the founder and director of ACAF, which was the first, and he was the first Spanish Ashoka Fellow in 2006. In 2007, he was awarded the World's Creative Young Entrepreneur Award, and in 2009, ACAF was selected as the best microfinance practice in Europe. JC studied world economy and has a PhD in microfinance. He is the author of World Economy and Development and the author of La Otra Microfinanza. Without further ado, what I'd like to do is turn the screen over to Angel. I'm sorry, to JC. And as I said, you can ask questions as we go along.
Hello to everyone. Thanks, Bill, for this presentation. Thanks to the Kersey Institute for organizing this webinar. Thanks to all of you. It's a big pleasure to be with people now. I see 61 people from different parts of the world. Greetings from Barcelona, Spain. I just want to explain. I really prefer this part of questions and answers, so we can adapt all the information to your needs. But I will try to explain a little bit how we got to what we are now, to the CAF model. I learned all these methodologies in the South, in Latin America, in 1997 after attending the microcredit summit in Washington. You know, it was the first one. I discovered this incredible methodology called the village banking, done by John Hatch. So I moved to Guatemala, initially for 6 months, but afterwards for 4 years in 1998, to learn about the methodology that village banking was doing. So we were working with 200 communities in the indigenous communities in Guatemala. And what we do that maybe it's familiar to you, it's that we were trying to create groups of 10 to 30 people. And after that, we were giving credits to the community. And as we were giving the money, we were the ones who were setting the conditions, the interest rate, the terms, and the interest rate that people were paying were destinated to pay our cost of running the project. That was okay. It seemed nice, but we also discovered something very interesting, that the communities were saving together and creating their own fund, let's say a saving fund. And with these saving funds that sometimes they didn't tell us, they decided to give credits to the people in the community. So they were creating their own kind of community bank. So that was very interesting for me, and I tried to make more research on that. And I discovered an Ashoka fellow in Venezuela called Salomon Raidan. This man in Venezuela, what he did is that he started a village banking program, but suddenly he discovered that introducing external money to the community was, in a way, was killing the savings of the people. So people had no motivation to save very much. So what he did is that he told the communities that they have to it was better for them to save, like in a tontine, let's say, every month, and with that money they could give credits to the community. He had incredible results with that, and maybe the biggest results was that after 6 or 7 months, there was more money in the community, in the box, than demand of credit. So, and that's a sentence that he says a lot, is that the microcredit movement has discovered that low-income people are financeable. With the saving groups model, I think we have discovered that low-income people can be self-financeable up to a point. And for me, that's a big revolution. When I saw that, I was so excited that I thought, let's take it to my home country, which is Spain. So we started in 2004 to create groups, this kind of groups in Barcelona. So it's a very simple methodology. It's like it's 10 to 30 people. You can see it in the presentation. I think you have it in the screens, right, Bill?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, they can.
Okay.
I think everybody can see the screens, right? Someone want to answer in your question box? Yes, you can see the screen? Yes, we have it on the screen, Nancy Lee says. Okay.
Okay,
yes.
So the self-financed communities that you see here are small groups of 10 to 30 people. And people there, every month they can buy shares. We call it, we say that they are creating a bank. And it's not a cooperative, it's a bank where they invest money, they buy shares of this fund. And with this fund, well, every month they also decide to give credits only to the members of the group. You can ask questions about the methodology afterwards if you want, but it's very easy. They are owners and customers of this organization. What we discovered is we have to adapt the methodology from Latin America to a northern country as Spain, and adapting it, we discovered a couple of things. One is that the people who were more interested in creating these groups were migrant communities, mainly African and Latin American communities that are living in Spain. The other one is that we had to make the methodology very simple, because people have a very lack of time. So what we end up with 2 years ago is we help them to create the group in only 2 hours with a very simple methodology that has just, Bill knows about that. The group is created with just 4 sheets of paper, no? Where they decide the rules. They completely decide all the rules. It's very easy to run. Every month there's only 1 sheet of paper to take the accountability. They can run it themselves without our help. So in just 2 sessions, they create the group, they run it themselves, and they are self-financed, self-managed. The group doesn't more than 30 people. Sorry?
Sorry, Jean-Claude, are you advancing the slides?
No, I'm just in this slide.
Okay, perfect, because we had people who thought that they were not able to see all the slides you were showing, but you were still on the same self-finance community slide. Sorry, keep going. Sorry about that.
It's this slide, and there were some results that you're seeing here in the screen. It's incredible to see in the first year, the increase, so the sharings that people are purchasing every month, they are buying, it grows more than 340%. So they start normally with 200 euros, and it grows to more than 600 euros after a year. So we discovered that low-income people, also here in Europe, they want to save, and they can save, and they want to save. The other interesting thing is it's not a saving program. Really, it's an investment program. So people invest money because after a year they get 12% rentability per their shares. So they discover that most of them they want to buy shares every month, and in Europe, probably in other countries, saving money in a bank, a lot of times they take your money at the end of the you have less money at the end of the year than you were saving. So people are investing in these groups. Normally people can ask 4 times more the money they invest. So if you save 100 euros, you can get 400 euros at the end, whenever you want it. And what another very important thing we discovered is that for most of the people, it's not only a financial program, but it's also a way to create and to build communities. Communities where there's trust in the group. So what we made in a recent research is that for 60% of the members of the group, they say that ACAF, this group, is the only social network they have. For us, this is one of the most important results. So after trying the methodology, we tried it with communities from more than 20 different countries. We started also with mental disease people, with young people, with students, with women who had received gender violence. So we discovered that the methodology is working. So most of the groups after 5 or 6 years are still working without our help. And so we decided to start expanding the methodology. So the first expansion was in Spain. So we started in Madrid, in Valencia, in Zaragoza, in Sevilla, in different cities in Spain. That's where Ashoka also, maybe you know Ashoka, it's a social network that supports social entrepreneurs. They help it a lot to expand the methodology. We started to expand it to other European countries. And also we discovered that this methodology, as you know, it's all over the world. And Bill Maddox, Jeffrey Ice, and Hugh Cullen, as you may know, there are people who have been helping to expand this methodology to more than 50 countries. So we really feel part of this savings revolution. But maybe what we've done is adapting it to European communities and to Northern communities, and we discovered that probably if it's working in cities in Europe, it may work in cities in the US, and that was our experience with this trip that was organized by Bill Maddox and the Kersey Institute in the US. So after all this, what we see right now is that it's time to expand all this methodology, mainly in Europe and North America. So we came up with this platform that we call it Win Common, which is probably it's going to be a digital e-learning and financial application, and a technological platform to expand the methodology. I will try to explain to you a little bit. I know that it's a lot of information, but afterwards, if you want, we can make a questions and answer.
Yes, we have plenty of questions coming in.
So the strategic partners we have, it's Ashoka. Okay.
Go ahead.
So we have some partners to make this digital platform. But the ideas of this, we have big goals. Our ideas there are like more than 200,000 members in Europe and US, and hopefully this platform can be used all over the world. Maybe in the future, in 1 or 2 years, you will know about this. So what we're doing is this Win Common platform. It's a do-it-yourself application. It's a place where everyone in the world that has access to technology, they can say, okay, I want to build a ACAF or a self-funded community without the help of any promoter. So we can do it ourselves. And we had some experiences in that. Some groups are being created in Spain now that without our help, they are creating their own groups. So it's also it's going to be also a social community, let's say a kind of Facebook, where you can connect with people from your own group, but also with groups of that are all over the world. And it's also it's the digital application. It's a do-it-yourself. It's a social community that you see here in the right part of the slide. And it's also it's a management tool where people who are developing the idea, but also the communities that are doing the self-funded communities, they can manage. It's a tool to manage your own community. So you can make the follow-up of the credits, but also the members of the group, they can make the follow-up of their own credits. They can see the collaterals that they have. They can see the shares they have in the group. So it's something like that. This is the e-learning tool. It's going to be something like that. So you can learn how to create your own bank or your own community. You can find other communities in your city or in other cities, and also it's a place where you can download just how to start to create the groups. This is the Win community. So this is also the social network where you can find easily other groups and your own group. This is the starting. So we have not developed the tool, but this is the skeleton of how it would look like more or less. Imagine your Facebook when you have your group of people. So this is a social network that you're seeing right now. The application will look like the application that you have in a smartphone, and this is how this will look like in your smartphone, no? Where you will see the shares you have, the credits. So you through your mobile phone, probably you can make the management of your group. This is the idea, more or less. Okay, so I will stop here. And any questions, any comments you have on all this, please. I think it's the moment. I don't know, Bill, if we are in time right now, or maybe I talk too much.
Sure. No, we have plenty of time and we have plenty of questions. So you can hear me okay, right? Jean-Claude?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a little worried about the technology because it didn't work properly. So I assume everybody can hear me, and I have several questions. So I think I'll start with a question from Sabrina Madison. She asks, are the groups formed of like-kind businesses like food service, construction, or tourism, or are many kinds of businesses all in one group?
Okay, that's a big question that people ask very much. It's not about building companies. So the credits, to give you an idea, the average credit in Europe, it's like 500 euros, which are probably $700. So it's not, people are not asking credits to create a company or to start a company. Some of them maybe for cash, but most of them there are very different types of uses of the credit. So for any needs, maybe it's to buy a washing machine, maybe it's to buy the books for the schools of the children in September. Maybe it's that they are planning a trip to their home country. Maybe they want to buy medicines for the children. So there are thousands of use. Normally, it's not normally for entrepreneurs, though there are 5% of entrepreneurs in the groups. So any kind of needs.
All right. The next question we have is, what is rentability? Where does the 12% come from?
There are no costs in the group. So all the interest rate that people pay to the group, so they decide in Europe, to make it very easy, people decide normally to set 1% monthly interest rate. So that's 12% per year. And that goes, all those interest rate that the people who ask for credit pays, all that money at the end of the year is distributed to the members depending on the shares they have.
Okay, great. What percentage of the groups are still working 5 or 6 years after the support finishes?
Our experience is that more than 50% of the groups are working after 6 years. But you know, groups are being created every month. So the experience we have is from 2004. But our experience is that, first of all, that some groups that have been created, we don't know anymore what happened to them, because some of them, they are not linked to us anymore, which is okay. No, we prefer them to be linked, but because every 6 months we make a meeting with all the groups, and we also have a Facebook where we meet. But most of the group, they prefer to, even if they have problems, and they have problems and conflicts, but they prefer to be maintained on time, because they have a place where they can save and a place where they can ask for credits. So it's very normal that good groups are maintained on time.
So let me kind of play the devil's advocate with the same question. Is so what would be the advantages of keeping them still linked into a social network, or still linked into ACAF in some way, or what is your philosophy about letting them go and not having the contact with them, just letting them go out and become independent and have no connection with the mothership, as it were?
Yeah, what we discover is that normally after a while, depending on the group, on the education, but in general, they discover that they don't need us at all, no, because they take their own decisions on their money. But sometimes they have doubts, or they conflicts appear, or they want to create new products, which is very common, like emergency funds or risk funds. There are a lot of things that they develop, and some of them they want to go alone. But some of them, probably 40% of the groups, they want to be in touch because new things are happening, especially the leaders in the communities, not everyone in the community. So what happens a lot, and for us is incredibly, we learn a lot from that, is that every 6 months they exchange a lot of ideas on things that are happening in the groups, of new things that they learned. And there's also an emotional part here, which is that they want to feel part of a movement, where there are other CAFs, where they know people from other countries. Normally every 6 months, what in the beginning we were making like serious meetings, but after that they wanted to, as there are people from 25 countries or 25 countries, they bring foods from their countries, they make dances, and it's a way to feel part of a big community. That's our feeling. But a lot of people are not interested in that. However, with this Win Common platform, what we pretend is that they feel that being part of a global network has good things for them also. So
another question I have is this also known as a tanda? Is this the same model as a tanda?
It has a lot to do with tandas, and everyone knows probably here in people who are participating today, is tandas are normally in informal ways, popular ways of savings, where every month, normally a group of, let's say, 12 people save together. Let's say that 12 people put $10, so they have $120 in a box. They make a lottery and it goes to someone different every month. That's a tanda normally, no? For people that doesn't know. This is a bit different. I personally love tandas. I think it's very smart. It's very useful for the people. It's spread all over the world. There are, I would say, thousands of, probably millions of tandas also in Europe and probably in the US. People use that a lot. But I think the CAF model has some differences. The first difference is that it's more flexible. So you can, in a CAF, you can save whatever you want and the month you want. So if in a month you don't want to save, you don't save. And if you want to save 50 in January and 30 in February, it's okay. In a tanda, it's more rigid. Everyone saves the same every month. Here you can save whatever you want, whenever you want. Also for the credits, in a tanda you get a credit when, depending, a lot of times in a lottery. But here you can ask for the credit whenever you want, and the money you want depending on the savings you have. Another very important thing of the CAF model is that you're building community. In a tanda, not necessarily there's trust, but not necessarily you're building community. In a CAF, you're really building community because there's meeting every month, there's a clear accountability, people are structuring the community, they are taking decisions. And another, I think, a very important thing of CAFs is that the money keeps on increasing every year. And in a tanda, normally every year you start from zero. And that's something that people who are participating in tandas are telling us a lot of times. Some people are changing their tandas to CAFs. Why? Because a lot of times they say because it's more flexible, and secondly because every year in a tanda we start from zero, but in a CAF we have money. In January we already have money. On the other hand, what I love from tandas is that it's very simple. It's very simple to explain, and people are participating very much. And the CAF methodology is still too complicated for some people. So that's something I think we still have to learn from tandas, that we have to make it a very simple methodology as they do. But hopefully in the future, I think that people will choose between tandas and, I don't know, money lenders and CAFs, and they will see some differences. Actually, some people in our groups are participating in tandas and also in the CAF. So they are diversifying the way they are saving, and from my point of view, that's great.
Great. We have several questions that are similar, Jean-Claude. So I think what I'll do is I'll kind of lump them together. So let me get 2 or 3 questions out to you. What percentage of the groups? Oh, I'm sorry. What's the criteria for selecting members of the self-finance communities? How do the groups deal with bad debt? And how does the group enforce repayment of loans? What happens if a member defaults, and do you set up some risk controls?
Okay, there's different questions. We of course never tell the people to join together. That's not, we don't know about that, and that's very risky. The other day I was talking to someone from an NGO who's working I don't know where, and they were forcing the people to join together, and I found this a big mistake, no? Because people have to self-select the people in the group because they are dealing with their own money. So the methodology, normally what we do to create a group is we explain it to 1 or 2 leaders in the community, and we just explain the methodology, and they are the ones who convince the people that they know and that they trust. An initial group of 6 or 7 people that they trust, they start the group. So we never force the group to join together, never. But we work a lot with leaders in the community. The repayment is a big issue, But our experience, as in other microfinance programs or in the saving groups that probably, Bill, you can talk about afterwards, it's not a problem at all. The pressure in the community is so big, that if you don't pay the credit a month, you have probably 20 people in your community. It's going to be your friends, your family, your wife telling you to pay. So it's not a problem at all. But normally what people do in the groups, or what groups decide in the methodology, is that they say you can ask for 4 times more. So if you have 100 in the group, 100 euros invested in the groups, you can only ask for 400 as a credit. What they say is that this 100 that you already have in the group, that's a collateral you already have. So it's only 300 euros in risk. But they will tell the members that if you want to ask for 4 times more, you also have to have 2 people in the group that are going to be your collateral only with the shares, with the investment they have in the group. So if you have 100 euros, probably you will have someone in the group who's a friend of yours that will be your collateral with 100 euros that he has in the group, or 150, and another one with 50 euros that will also be your collateral. So in case you don't pay, the people in the group will take your shares, your 100 euros, but also the shares of your friends. Only the shares of your friends, only the money they have in the group. But to be honest, I don't know. If we have, last year I think we have 2 or 3 cases of people who were unpaying, and it was not a big deal because probably it was, I don't know, in the last 2 or 3 months he didn't pay, but it's not a big deal. That's not a big problem of the methodology.
Okay, I have some other similar questions here. First of all, what is CAF, C-A-F? Just real quickly.
It's in Spanish, it's Comunidad Autofinanciada, which means self-financed communities.
Okay, and so actually the same person who asked that question, Rob Voss, also asked the question about the security of the funds, and then we had someone else who asked the question, with Village Savings and Loans, they hold the money in a lockbox with 3 sets of keys. Where is the money held with your groups?
It's very similar. So we as you have seen, we copied a lot from the South. And that's interesting because a lot of the methodology we just copied from the South. That's something groups do. I don't know if you've seen the photographs here in the slide, but you can see the box there. I don't. In the first photograph, there's a woman in brown, in the left, up in the left. Do you see this woman, brown? There's a purple box here. In the other slide, in the other photograph, at the end of the table, there's a black box here. In the third photograph, there's a purple box here also. So that's where the money is. In the beginning, it's in a box. There are also 2 keys, not 3, but 2 keys. Someone takes the box, and another 2 people in the group, they take the key. So they only open the box at every monthly meeting. What happens a lot of times is that after 6 months, it's difficult to believe, but I promise you that after 6 or 7 months, there's more money in the box than demand of credit. So there's starting to be money in the box. So then they decide, a lot of times, some of them, they decide to open a bank account together, all the group. You know, in Europe, we have a lot of banks, maybe too many banks. So normally what they do is that they open a bank account together in a bank, so it's secure. Or they start thinking of other places to invest the money they have. No?
So let's see, another couple questions that are similar. Are there varying interest rates based on the risk of the loan? Well, this isn't similar, but is borrowing limited to women as in many microfinance programs?
In you can see the photographs here. There are men and women. It's mixed. I think it's 60% of women in the groups. So it's very much mixed. Depending on some cultures, you can see this group in the second photographs. It's only men. There are two women in the group, two brave women in this group. But depending on the groups, but it's very much mixed. And the other question, Bill, sorry?
Another question is, are there varying interest rates based on the risk of the loan?
They usually change a lot of things so they start with a very simple statute. It's 10 points. These statutes, if anyone is interested, we can send it to you. But they decide the interest rate, which is 1%, the minimum, the price of the share, which is 10 euros. So they take 10 very simple decisions in the beginning. And we tell them it's very important that the methodology is very simple in the beginning. You can make it more complicated afterwards. Every month they change a lot of things. Every month they take decisions and they say, for example, there's a lot of demand this month. Let's raise the interest rate this month. Or there's no demand. Let's lower it down. Or I don't know, there's a new member today, but we don't know him very much. We need more collaterals. In the beginning, in the first year, they changed the methodology to adapt it to themselves, and for us that's very, very interesting because they really adapt it to their needs. And when you see the statutes they have, the rules they have after 2 months, after 2 years, let's say, they are completely different from one group to another because they have adapted completely to their needs. Imagine with mental disease people, as they don't have a lot of trust, the shares cost €1 only, and they have different ways of being collaterals between one another. Imagine with children in schools, they are adapting the methodology to themselves. So it depends very much. They really change the rules every month and every year, yes.
Okay, great. So here's some other questions. Could this be adapted for entrepreneurs to use where access to capital is extremely limited? And is this a model that could be used in rural areas, places where people don't have access to other types of finance?
A lot of interesting questions today. Thank you.
Many more coming.
Okay. We don't really think that this is a tool for entrepreneurs. Our experience in Europe it's very much for cash flow. What we discover in the groups is that when someone is an entrepreneur and needs a lot of money and there's risk, this is not the methodology because they want this money to be very secure. They don't want to lose this money. And with entrepreneurs, as you know, there's a lot of risk. So normally what groups say when there's an entrepreneur, it's more risk, more money, they normally tell them go to a microfinance institution, no? Where they are experts in giving credit to entrepreneurs. So I would say a very good tool for entrepreneurs who are settled and need cash flow, not a very good tool for people who are taking a lot of risk starting a new company. Anyway, we have some experiences with entrepreneurs, but it's not too much. In rural areas, we don't know very much about that in Europe because we're working mainly in cities, in urban communities. But Salomon has done this methodology in rural areas, and I think there's a lot of adaptation here because in rural areas, you can see the photographs there up in the right. This group is the ACAF model in Senegal. It's quite different. It's 60 people down a tree, and I think the ACAF model has some good things which are very simple, but for example, it's not adapted to illiterate people, which I've seen in VSLA methodology that you have adapted very much to literate people. But I think it's something to explore, though Salomon in Venezuela has proven it in rural areas, but I think there's a lot of adaptation. But the principles that I think that low-income people can be self-financed and self-managed, I think it works all over the world.
Great. We have a lot of questions. I just want to point out a little programming thing. First of all, you might see me listed as Amy Sterndale, and my name is actually Bill Maddox, not Amy Sterndale, but that's the way the program is set up with her as the moderator. We did start about 9 minutes late because of some technical problems, so we're actually going to go till about 10 past the hour, just to let you know. I have a couple of questions related to the platform that you showed us. Roland Pearson from South Africa and Nancy Lee from Canada are asking questions. What impacts do you foresee the movement of this knowledge to social media having on adaptations and innovations? So when we get to the Wickerman model, how are we going to see social media change the model? And Nancy asks the question, is one idea behind the technology that they will collect aggregate data and that they would voluntarily submit? So have you kind of thought about these implications once Wickerman is launched?
Yes, I think we have to really think about all this, and again, it's a very good question. I think we have to think about this, and that is why we want to start in Europe and North America, because there's I know that there's a lot of technology also happening in the South, but I think that access to social networks and internet, to mobile phones and to internet here in Europe and North America is quite often. So, but probably I think the mobile phones in all over the world, it's already happening that everyone probably will have access to a mobile phone. And I think we have to use that. And I think this can be lowering very much our costs, making people participate more and more. And I think we have to start introducing technology. We really have to start with that. That doesn't mean that we don't have to, using these photographs, that people have to meet physically. I think it's very important. And there's a lot of physical things happening. But we have to introduce technology to make a very friendly technology that we have to use. But I think it's going to be step by step, but it's going fast. And I think what we've tried in Europe, in Barcelona, we were having a kind of lab with technology, and we see that we are making presentations like we're doing today in streaming, in Skype, to leaders who want to start ACAF, and it's having now an incredible. People are starting using it, and it's incredible how very low-income people are starting using it, and we're also some groups are being created without our physical participation, just through the phone and through Skype. So I think it's something we have to explore and we have to start. And I think that Win Common is a first step to see if people will use that. I think a very good question is, why should members introduce the accountability in internet? I think the question is, it's about incentives. And I think the incentive is that they can make the follow-up of the groups very easily by doing in internet, because probably if you do it in internet, it's a way to some of the groups, most of the group are using. We have a very small platform that they can use to introduce their accountability, what the operations they are doing every month. But it's not because they don't want to tell us about. It's because it's a very useful tool. It's very easy to use, and they know that they can calculate the credits that have been given. They can calculate the profit they have at the end of the year. They know that if they lose the papers, They have all the information there. So I think it's a question that you give them a tool that it's very easy for them to use, and they will use it probably. And it's a way for, I think, for all the movement to see what's happening in the groups if they know. Some of the groups, they want to, in a way, they want to be outdated, and they want to know at the end of the year if they are doing things well. So probably you can do a tool for them to see if the group has problems or not, if they are doing well. I don't know. I think technology is a very big opportunity to explore.
Is there going to be a charge for using the platform?
Sorry?
Will there be a charge for using the Wikiment platform?
What we're thinking is that if the methodologies, I think we want to give the methodology for free because it's not a big deal, so they can copy it anyway. So what we're discovering right now is that some people are creating groups in Spain. They call it CAFs, and we really don't know that they are being created. And for us, that's excellent. That's great. So I think there's no use in charging for that. And so I think it's going to be for free. But I think there are a lot of groups that they want some services. They say, for example, I don't know, we want to be outdated. Okay, that's a cost for that. Or we want to, in internet it's called premium, no? So there's a free methodology, there's a free platform that you can use. But if you want more services, it's like that you don't want to do, maybe you will have to pay for that. But probably it's not going to be very much, because I think that this platform is not, it's an investment that we have to do, and we're looking for money for that. So any ideas on investors on that will be welcome. But I think in the future, probably it's not a big deal to maintain all this technology. I mean, there's some money, but I mean, if we are, let's say, 5 million people in the world and we put $1, I mean, there's a lot of money for everyone to maintain that. And I want to be clear in this, that we don't have any sense that this will be controlled by an organization, by us, or by a person. I think in my personal dream, probably you Bill and other people will share the ideas that I think this has to be owned by the movement. So, and I think, and our dream is that it's owned by the members, the CAF members. No, in a way, just as the CAF is owned by the members, the dream is that this tool is owned by the members themselves, and we have to work on this property also.
So it's an open source type of commons idea that everybody has ownership in it, and so the challenge might be really to keep people interested in continuing to be part of the community. I think that should be,
completely, yes,
one of the things. There's quite a few questions. We're not going to get to them all. I'm going to wrap up in a couple more, but I do want to ask a couple, I think, important questions. Is in terms of this is one related to governance, internal controls, another around record keeping. Do you use any kind of passbooks, or is everything written on paper that you mentioned earlier? How do people keep track of the loan and payment data? And do you do any kind of training or awareness around good governance or internal controls at the very beginning to help them with the process?
Yes, we did a training, but it's so easy. In the beginning, we were like 6 months training, but for the people it was too much information, and we discovered that it was no use. No, we changed it completely, and what we do right now is we start with a very, very simple methodology, and it's a learning by doing process. So the follow-up that they do, basically, it's very easy. Every month it's like money in and money out. No? And the money in is who has to pay credit, you and you. Who has to buy shares, you and you. Okay, now we have this money. We sum up that money with the money that was already in the box, and they say, okay, now this month we have 400 euros. Okay, who needs a credit? 100 and 300, money out. And they I don't know how you say it in English, they close the box and they say, okay, this month there's €7, they write it down. But another thing we discovered is that in the beginning there was someone, a teller, in charge of the accounting, just one teller. But now we discovered that it's so easy to run it that every month someone takes care of what's happening, which makes it more, everyone learns how to do it, which is a great thing. It's more transparent, so everyone can see what the other did last month. And also there's no temptations for someone that knows too much about the accountability. But I promise that it's very easy, especially only for people who are literate. That's important. But the training, it takes us 2 hours to train the group in how to, because it's 4 pages. It's just 4 pages. It's very easy.
Great. I think we're going to wrap it up there. We do have a few questions that didn't get answered. People are interested in getting more information about this, particularly information about the methodology. And if you're comfortable with that, Jean-Claude, we could actually post that along with a recording of this webinar up on the site. It would be in the past webinars information, but I think we'll see what we can actually put up online, or you can email me for sure, william.maddox@unh.edu, and I'd be happy to send it to you. A couple of you have requested that, and I'd be glad to send it out. We'll keep you posted on this. Everybody is on the mailing list for the webinars if you participate in this webinar. So if there are developments related directly to the ACAF model, or there are burning questions that you want answered that didn't get answered in this webinar, then I'd be happy to answer those. I'm leaving for Ghana tomorrow. I'll be in Ghana and Togo for 3 weeks, but we'll have email there, and I can definitely talk to you. I'm going to type in, someone just suggested that I type in my email address so that everyone can see it. I think it's probably on the website too, but I'll do that just so that everybody has it in case they want to write to me. Let me just send that out to everybody right now. First of all, before we go any further, I want to just thank Jean-Claude for a great presentation. I think we could have gone on for 2 hours. Nancy Lee, who had to leave, said it's inspiring and stimulating and enjoyed the webinar process. So we really appreciate you doing this with us today, Jean-Claude, and we're definitely going to be looking forward to hearing how the ACAF model develops in Europe and in the States before long. So thank you so much, and appreciate you being on, and maybe we'll get you back here again later this year to give us an update on what's going on. So thanks, Jean-Claude.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for these 50 people who are bravely there. And hope to see you, all of you, and meet you one day. Come to Barcelona.
Yes, everybody should come to Barcelona and see CAF in process. Let me give you a couple of quick announcements. We will be doing our next webinar on Wednesday, April 11th. The registration will go up either today or tomorrow on that. That's on microfinance interest rates. What's reasonable and does it matter? This is with Malcolm Harper, who is a member of our faculty here at the SMDP and a fairly well-known writer and commenter on microfinance issues globally. And we're going to do a little twist on the webinar model, which is basically that Malcolm would like people to do a homework assignment, go out and gather some data and bring it back, and when you register for the webinar you have to post that data. So it's a little bit different. He's going to actually look at that data and he'll be using that in the webinar. Should be really interesting. Malcolm is a fascinating and great thinker, and always full of surprises, so just for entertainment value I would say show up for that webinar. A couple other announcements on future webinars. On Wednesday, May 9th, Successful Strategies for Reaching the Poorest with Jan Mize. Jan is with the SEEP Poverty Outreach Working Group, doing some really innovative, very interesting work on models based on work that Brock is doing, Ramin Bank and others. and he'll be talking about that in detail. On Wednesday, July 11th, Pro4 Enterprise Development and Value Chain Development with Katie Turner from MEDA. And Wednesday, August 15th, Savings Groups as a Platform for Other Development Innovations with Paul Rippey. And finally, if you're still online, I just want to let you know that the Sustainable Microenterprise Development Program certificate here in New Hampshire is going to be happening June 18th to June 29th. We have a great lineup of speakers and facilitators. This is a comprehensive course on enterprise development, on microfinance, on local economic development, on social and impact investment, and we think you'll really enjoy the curriculum that we've put together. So I want to invite everybody to be a part of that. Thank everybody for your attention today. As I have mentioned in the past, we will be putting the recording of this up with the first 9 minutes blank or something. I don't know how we're going to edit that out, but this entire presentation will be online in a few days up on the SNDP webinar site. So if you'd like to hear it again or pass it on to other people, that'll be available. And as I said, write to me at my email address, and I'd be happy to send you additional information about ACAF and the interesting model that Jean-Claude and his colleagues are doing in Europe. Thanks so much for your attentiveness, being with us today on this webinar. I look forward to having you join us with Malcolm Harper on April 11th for the next webinar. Have a good day.